So, hi guys, I am back again for another blog. I just felt like I should share my experience of relocating to Luxembourg because there are so many questions that people are asking regarding the relocation to Luxembourg. So, I am thinking maybe it's best for me to share my personal experience of relocating from Uganda because I come from Uganda to Luxembourg. So, today we're just going to talk about my experiences, what I went through, what happened, and everything along the way. So it's like it's a story time, Story time. I've been in Luxembourg for it must be 7 years now. Yeah, it's that long. I know sometimes I think I don't believe it because it feels like I was just here yesterday. Yeah, but it's 7 years now, and the most I guess you would want to know probably how did I get here. I am married. I'm married, so moving here was not very hard for me because I am married to an EU citizen. So if you are married to an EU citizen, you have what they call the family reunion. So that's the visa that I applied for to come here, and that is quite it's a very simple one. So another thing I would say, if you want another easiest way to move to Europe or to Luxembourg would be if you're married to an EU citizen. So moving here would be very easy because you just apply for the family reunion. For Luxembourg, they call it the family reunion, which I think applies to the whole of Europe. So that's the kind of visa that I applied for. And everything else was very easy for me, like chap. It didn't take long. I got my visa, I think, within a week. And I came here. So my story may be a little bit different from another person's story. So I kind of came here. My husband was already living in Luxembourg. So everything was kind of like set up for me because I didn't have to go through the hassle of searching for accommodation. Other small little things. I didn't have to go through all that hassle because my husband was already here and he kind of like set up everything. So I just joined into something that was already made. So I may not have that kind of experience for someone who's coming here straight from Uganda or from Africa or from anywhere else in the world to settle in Luxembourg. So that part of my story is a bit much simpler and more easy. So when I go to Luxembourg, one thing that I need you guys to know, I really didn't know anything about Luxembourg. I had never heard of this country, like seriously, shame. But I didn't know anything about Luxembourg. So when my husband told me about Luxembourg, I'm like, Luxembourg, is that a city in Switzerland? So I know it's really very funny. It's really funny. But I know I'm not alone. There's so many people out there who really do not know Luxembourg. But well, Luxembourg is there. It really exists. It's a country in the Central Europe. So yeah, I've talked about that. Number one thing that was a bit very tough for me is the language. French, Luxembourgish, German. I'm like, okay. How am I going to, how am I going to survive through this? Language is really such an issue. How am I going to communicate? English is there. And I'm like, what? The first weeks, the first month, I was like in the house all the time. Like Netflix was my friend. Netflix was my friend. I was spending a lot of time watching movies because before I got here, I was working with some company in Uganda. And but the company is also here in Luxembourg. So before that, I started like sending my application. Before I came, I started already like scouting and checking places where I can shoot my CV. So by the time I came here, I had already applied, like sent my CV all over, like to sister companies of that sort. I'd sent my CV around. So, and also to that company, the sister company that is in Uganda, I already sent my CV. So when I came, I had already interviews ready that I had to come and do. So in the first week, in the first month, I was basically just going for interviews. I was doing lots of interviews, job interviews. So I was a bit very busy, and some of them, of course, I was getting rejected. So, I kind of like was losing morale. I'm like, hey, what is happening? So anyhow, I was lucky enough because I had, as I said before, you guys, you need to have like experience. So I was lucky enough. I got invited to this sister company. I got invited, and I got the job. So yeah, thank God I got the job. So yeah, but before I started the job, I decided it was summertime, so I didn't want to start working immediately during summertime because it's warm. So I used that time like to travel around Europe, check out places, enjoy the summer basically. That's what I did. I enjoyed the summer. And so then that was done. So along the way, because about 3 months I was kind of like home. So during that time, what I did, because my husband would go to work and then I'm home alone. So what I would do, I was on social media a lot. Social media was my friend and Netflix. So I started looking for groups. That's the one thing that I did. I started looking for groups, like there are some groups on Facebook, on Instagram. I started joining those groups just to learn, to get to know stuff about Luxembourg, where the happenings are, the clubs, the restaurants, the what, just trying to know, like, to find out places about this country. So there's a group on Facebook that I got in. It's a nice group. They would have like gatherings, meetings of ways to go make friends and stuff like that. I went there. You know how Ugandans we are. Ugandans, we are kind of like very, very social. Ugandans are like very, very social. We're like always in that happy, like we are in that happy mindset 24/7. So I had that kind of fire within me, So we go to this, I go to this meetup, it's like for ladies and stuff. So I was happy. I'm like going to meet friends. Yeah, then lucky enough in this group, majority people that I met were expatriates. People were mostly like from the US, from the UK, from around Europe, some from within some African countries. So lucky enough, most of them were speaking English. So it was nice. It was a good get together and stuff like that. And then I got a couple of number of friends. I would call acquaintances, really, not really friends. It was okay. It was a good thing to get out of the house. So through all that, at least I was getting used. Then here comes, then I go to work, I start work, then culture shocks. Culture shocks, I'm telling you guys, like things are so different. In Uganda, when you get, for example, in Uganda, when at the workplace, it's not like, I don't know if you get what I'm saying, it's a bit very, there's that lively atmosphere. I don't know, maybe because we have good weather. I don't understand. Maybe because our weather is 24/7 shiny. Maybe it was good, but then but here I was getting out different culture shocks. When you move around, you go. People are a bit more of to themselves. I would say individualistic. Like they're not all over the place. Like it is in Uganda, we're like all over the place. So that was a bit very new for me. So then at the workplace, like people are in groups, some people are in the groups. And it's not only at workplaces. If you come to like, now you see the thing is that Luxembourg is very multicultural. So you find we have people from Italy, the Southerners, that's the people from the South. Then the Italians, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and then we have the people from Eastern Europe. Then you have like the Central here, that is the Germans, the French, the Belgians, the Netherlands. So it's interesting, but in Luxembourg, you find that there are those groups. So the Italians have their own association of sorts, and then the Germans, there are those small groups that people, you go to your groups. Now here comes poor me. Sophine is from Uganda. They are no Ugandans. Well, right now I've met a couple of Ugandans, so it's still very few. I think they're countable. Like probably you could say maybe 5 in the whole country. quite very few Ugandans. They are there, but now the Africans are also there. They have their association of Africans, but now within those African associations, these are francophone speaking countries. That's like people from Cameroon, the Congo, Senegal. All these guys, they speak French. So they have their association and they all speak French. Now, the African me, Ugandan, you don't have, you cannot blend there, because how are you going to communicate with those Africans? They don't speak English. Majority of them don't speak English. So I am lost. So I am left all there alone. I cannot find any Ugandans. Maybe Nigerians who speak English, but I couldn't find those. So it was just so strong. I would come back to my husband and be like, man, I feel like I'm in high school. I feel like I'm in high school in this country. I feel like I'm in high school where there are small groups, you know. So through that time, I'm like, oh God. So lucky for me at the workplace, it was okay. Integration was actually kind of very much okay, because at the workplace people speak English and stuff like that. Then I met some friend of mine from Rwanda. There's a friend of mine from Rwanda, Bella. She's also on YouTube, and some other friends, like, they speak English. So it started getting a little bit better. Like my friend would be like, it's okay, Sophie, you'll get the hang of it. I mean, this is just a culture shock that you're experiencing, because you're just from Africa, from Uganda. So it's completely, like, the whole setup here is completely different, but you get the hang of it. So I would say the first year, from the time I started working, guys, it was really tough. It was so tough. At some point I felt like I was getting depression, I think. Then comes the winter, my first winter here. Ooh, guys, it was tough. It was tough. But lucky for me, I had my husband with me, so he tried, make me get used. And when I started meeting, like, these friends, it started getting a little bit better the second year of being here. And I started putting this thing in my mind, my mindset. I started saying to myself that this is my home. Uganda is no longer my home, because I'm married here. According to our traditions, when you get married, where you are married is where your life is now. So there is no going back. There's no going back. So I started putting that in my mind, that Luxembourg is my home. There is no going back. So I have to accept it just the way it is, and I look for the silver lining. I look for the small little things that make this place very nice. So I started looking at the benefits of being in Luxembourg. So that kind of started helping me, like, I started digesting that, and it started making me feel a little bit better. I'm like, okay, these things are getting better. So the issues that I was having, like difficulty in integration, like probably at the workplace, areas like supermarkets, any places that I go that I needed, where I had to find ways of integrating, I started looking at a different angle. I'm like, this is my home, so I must then start thinking of learning the language. I tried some few classes. It's very hard. Luxembourg is so hard. French is also very hard. I would go in the classes and then people are telling me to making pronunciation, wee, woo. I feel like when I'm talking, I have to do woo, woo. It was so funny. It was just completely. At this age, I'm like, am I going to learn? But I could meet some people be like, hey, French, you will learn. You have to be dedicated. You will learn. Just be sticking there. So, yeah, I kind of like started accepting this place for the beauty of it. I started looking. I'm only concentrating on the positives of Luxembourg. Like, this is my home, and I'm not going anywhere. So I must accept this place and like enjoy it. So eventually I feel like the perspective started changing, and things got better. Now it's coming to 7 years. I feel like I've now built my roots in this country. So it's I would say now it's a beautiful country to live in, and yeah. So that's my story. I have my families here. I have my children here. So I would say it's it's been really it's been like this, this is how it was, but then now we are going up, we are here, so which is quite okay. So that's my story. I know many of you have been wondering about it, so that's my story.
And for those of you who have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, comment, share my videos with your friends, your circles, because I believe we all need to learn one or two things about Luxembourg. So please go on the sharing spree. I really do appreciate that. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.